Hi folks, TheFilipinaPea here. And many of you wonder about the quality of a relationship between a Western man and a Filipina. You're concerned about things like a hidden past, ulterior motives, and getting into a marriage of convenience rather than one of love. Well, today we'll be talking to two people who decided to spill the beans with each other and share all the details of their complicated pasts, including wives, ex-fiancés, girlfriends from dating sites, multiple foreign boyfriends from different countries, as well as their own unusual history together. Can a foreigner and a Filipina whose relationship was forged in chaos put all the deception aside and create a lifetime partnership with mutual love and respect? A marriage that will stand the test of time, even if they move back to the West? Let's find out. Guys, this is Mr. and Mrs. Oldfield from the United Kingdom, and they agreed to share their love story with us today. So I'm very excited. So, you guys excited?
Of course.
Yes.
So, Diana, tell us your story.
Not all of it.
Well, I've known Steve because he used to work in Manila. And then, so we've got mutual friends, quite loads actually. And so, because of that, we've gotten to know each other. But, it wasn't exactly love at first sight.
It wasn't
It was
exactly.
actually hatred.
It was
First
great.
sight. Was it? No.
No.
He had a girlfriend then, and I had a boyfriend. I had an American fiance.
I know it doesn't look good.
Okay.
It wasn't.
No. Well, you both aren't married at that time, and
When I first went to the Philippines, I was actually married to somebody here.
Yes.
A Finnish. She was actually from Finland.
Yes.
You know, a woman I met in my early 20s when I was in Australia.
Yes.
And I went out to the Philippines to work for United Utilities via Essentia. And it was just the wrong thing. I was in my early 40s. My daughter had just gone to university. Just hit that time of life. I mean, I'm making all the excuses, but I was put up in a 6-star hotel. I was given a driver. It was just, I lasted 2 trips behaving myself, and then the wheels came off a little bit. So I met somebody else first, and later went back.
Yeah.
Actually, not to see her; it was somebody
Yeah.
else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But on that second trip back, that was when you kindly came over with a SIM card,
Yes.
and we made it into a sort of date, didn't we?
Sort of, but there's no expectation at all when we met.
No.
It wasn't really a date. It was a really more of a friendly date.
But it was
okay.
so memorable for me because I really didn't know Di in person very well.
Yes.
And I was sitting in the peninsula in the lobby there, waiting for Di to walk in. And I just remember seeing this girl walk in, looking more like she wanted a fight than a date. I mean, she just had such an aggressive, manly walk. I thought she was more likely to punch me than kiss me.
I was actually walking towards him to slap the SIM card on his face.
Like how?
You got your plan?
No.
So this is an interesting story because you guys didn't meet in a dating site. You guys met in person through a common friend. Okay, well that's different. Do you mind sharing your the age gap between you two?
Well, Di is actually older than me, as you'd probably guess.
How young are you, Diana?
It's more than I first told her when we met.
He lied about his age. He did.
Why?
He did. He said to me on our very first formal date, maybe the third formal date, I just saw his driving license. You said you were 42. You're bloody 47.
I always think it's good to get off onto the right step, honesty and trust.
Right. All right. Well, so was there like significant age gap between you
20
two?
years.
21 years.
21 years.
21 years. So how long have you been married?
Well,
Tomorrow's our anniversary, actually.
Ooh.
Our eighth anniversary.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations. Happy advance happy anniversary, guys. That's awesome. What's the secret?
Well, like I said, our relationship was built with honesty. I said to him on our first dates, because I wasn't really, I was meeting him, being friendly with him with no agenda of dating him.
Mm-hmm.
He was just my friend. So I said to him, I confided to him what was the reason why I was in America and came back. I was engaged to an American boy, came back, but I've also had a German boyfriend on the side. So
Okay.
There's a huge list.
Yes.
No.
I was a playgirl. So because I wasn't really expecting, I was very open to him and he was very open to me that, he's the one who cheated on his ex-wife. And that was the foundation of our relationship.
That bonding day.
Yes. It was I call it the walk of shame.
The walk of
When
shame.
we opened up
Okay.
and we didn't judge each other, and I was quite taken aback because he didn't say anything bad to me.
Okay.
He's just asked how I was.
Okay. So
And actually happened. So I'd gone out. Dad had given me the SIM card,
Yes.
and then the next morning I flew out to Cebu to meet this girl who I had met on a dating site,
Yes.
which was Filipino Cupid, I think.
Yes.
From
okay.
memory.
Yes.
And it was just an absolute disaster. I mean, from the very first moment,
Why?
it was.
Please do
Well,
tell.
It was.
You've got to tell the VIP tickets. And
Oh gosh, everything. It was meet the family initially.
Yes.
It's just all of it was just the family were there.
two pastors of uncles or pastors.
Had to go out to drive out to meet the grandma. I was being married off on my first day of meeting her, and all the uncles were priests or pastors.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just scary as hell.
So
They'd
she
organised
brought.
this minibus to take the
She
family
brought.
out to meet the grandma in the
Yes.
provinces.
Yes, she's
So-
heard it before.
Everybody's there, and I'm thinking, I've only really come here to have a date and see how
Yes.
it goes.
I
Oh
know.
gosh.
That must have been overwhelming and kind of scary, to tell you the truth, if I were the guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was on the phone to Di, just I said, "Is this normal?" And also just checking things out, like the price of the minibus. So I was
Yes.
paying for the minibus
Yeah.
to go into the provinces, and
Yes.
Yes. And then we're all out for a meal in the evening with the
Yeah.
family. And then she says to me, I'd like VIP tickets to go and see, who was it? I can't remember.
Les Miserables, and it was the American Idol,
In Manila.
in Manila.
So this is all in the first 24 hours.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Exactly.
yeah.
Mm.
And
The audacity. I mean,
even if you're not, if you have not got an agenda to date Steve, you will feel protected because you don't want a foreigner to be taken advantage of. That's how I felt. Felt like protecting him.
so I stayed to the second night. I think I had 2 nights there. In the second evening, I was in my bedroom and I got in touch with Dan. I said, I've just got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I said, can you book me a ticket back to Manila?
Yeah.
And it was really bad. It was a really cowardly thing to do. But I just didn't want to face all these people and face the disappointment. So I said, Di, book me a ticket. I gave her all my credit card details. Bear in mind, I didn't know her very well either. So I said, listen, I just got to get out. I trusted her. Just book it for me. So she got me on the first flight out of Cebu.
And a very expensive bag. No, I didn't do that.
so what did you
And
tell
I
the
just
girl? I mean, were you just like, sorry?
I just said, listen, I'm I'm really sorry, but this just isn't working out for me at all. You know, it's just, I wasn't expecting to feel like I was married off on the first day of meeting you in person.
Yes.
And it's just really not working out for me. And I'm awfully sorry. I know it's a bad thing to do, but it's not going to be any better if I say it in person. I didn't even know her anyway, so I had no kind of connection with her. And so I went. I felt like James Bond sneaking out in the morning, hightailing to the airport and first flight out.
So, did you just text her or did you tell her in person before leaving?
No, I just sent a message. It's awful, I know. But we bumped into her again, unbelievably.
Yes, a year after.
Oh.
A year after? Where?
In Boracay.
In Boracay?
Yes.
Yeah, on a beach bar in Boracay.
Yes.
And suddenly I saw Di just stiffen. You know, she's always got the radar.
I'm a spy.
Hoy.
I've already investigated all your exes. I know where they were born, which date it is.
It's in our DNA, Steve. It's like we spy.
It's not about what we know when we're asking you questions. We're asking you questions because we want to know if you're telling the truth.
Exactly. When we ask the question, we already know the answer. So it's whether you lie or not.
That's the mean tactic. And men fall for it every time.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's general, and I mean it's a female thing, I guess. So if your wife asks you a question, so you better think twice. Why is she asking the questions?
We're walking into a trap, basically.
Yes. We're reeling you in.
Well, you guys survived 8 years and you seem very happy and content. Like you guys like inseparable. So what did each of your families think about you getting married?
Yeah, when I first introduced him, when I first taken him in the family house, all the brothers flee. They left the house.
Why?
They really didn't like you.
No, they hadn't even met me, be fair.
Well, maybe because it was of my history, of being engaged to an American. Well, they didn't want to be a part of it. But only one brother showed up, and obviously my mom was there. And eventually now, every time you go there, oh my God, they couldn't get enough of him. They love him to bits. I would just sometimes go to the toilet and I would just hear this laughter booming in the house. What was that now? Hey, your brothers just made it.
So at first you weren't welcome? I mean, at first your brothers, Diana, didn't like Steve. So what happened? How did you win them?
So I think one brother's really shy.
Yes.
Okay.
One your little brother, he's
very close to me.
Very close to you.
Very protective.
Very protective, but also not easy to get to know.
Yes.
And then your second brother, who's the kind of head of the family, because Di's father died when she was young.
Yes.
He was the one that appeared, and basically did the interview.
The interrogation.
Right. Well, obviously you passed.
Yeah.
Flying colors.
But I had problems this end too.
Yes.
Even my daughter now, it's a little bit difficult with Di, because even though Di wasn't the reason behind my divorce, there is the association there with the Philippines, and
I think it's because we're basically the same age. I'm only 5 years older than her, so obviously I could understand why she is not warming up to me.
Okay.
So, I would feel the same. I would actually be worse, if my dad would have married, 5 years older than me, I would just, that's it. I will never ever talk to you.
But my mum and dad love Di. I mean, they're separated, but independently, they both love Di. And my dad died a year ago.
Yeah.
but you got very close to my dad. You used to love going to his house, didn't you? And so he was delighted, my dad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dying.
It's. Did you plan from the beginning to live in the UK?
Not really planned, P, but it's more of, I'm a nurse, and nurses here in the UK are really well demanded. And it was really never an option to live in the Philippines because of my career. He loves being here. He loves sports. I've heard somewhere. England. I heard somewhere that you lived in the UK.
Yeah.
So you are aware of cricket.
Yeah.
He's the captain of the cricket club.
Oh, wow.
And I've got a lot of friends here, and I mean, I love England. I love visiting the Philippines, and I don't know if you know, but we bought a beach house out there.
Yes.
So are you guys gonna, it's just gonna be like a vacation house, or maybe in the future?
Yes, we're going to split our time there, I think. Maybe. No.
I mean, the plan is, you know how awful it is here, January, February, March. I mean, it's pretty bad, isn't it? It's cold and it's wet and it's dark. So I think the plan is that we'll have those 3 months out in the Philippines and the rest of the time here.
Where about in the Philippines are you from, Diana?
Born and raised in Manila, but I've traveled like all over in the Philippines.
Where are you from, Pete?
I grew up in Leyte. I was born in Manila, in Makati. Not in the posh area. No, not in the posh area.
I was born in Makati.
It's in Guadalupe, but we moved. Yeah, we moved to Leyte when my biological dad died way back in 1993. I was only 3 years old, and my mom was very young. And they're both from Leyte. They met in Manila. So my mom was very young. She was only, 28 when my dad died. My dad was 29. It was a freak accident. So my mom feared, if we ended up in the banqueta, in the streets. So she decided to go back to the province because at least there we can eat. You can rely on friends and family members, because being young and a widow with a child in Manila, it was really hard, especially that she didn't really know about Manila. She was really dependent on my dad. It's actually great to to talk to a Filipina, a well-traveled Filipina who ended up living in the West and actually having a very successful career and a married life. Because I want to show my subscribers, even when I started my YouTube channel, they were like amazed in a way that there is a Filipina that can hold a conversation. Yes, of course we speak English. There are a lot of well-spoken Filipinas.
Do you know, P, that's exactly what I said to Steve this morning. I said to him, this vlogger is eloquent. She's very articulate. She's not your typical province Filipina that, shy, couldn't get an English sentence out. She would speak her mind. And for some, she's got trolls that would, make some remarks that, she's not a Filipina. She's American hiding to a Filipina's body. And I think that's just too shallow. They've got so much time in their hands.
But I think also from the Western perspective, the caricature is of the fat old retired guy who picks up the 18-year-old skinny province girl, and it's all a little bit, there is some stigma attached to it even now. The fact that I'm older than Di, that she's from the Philippines, you get the internet bride comments, and you get the looks from
your age,
my sort of age group, or the 40s, thinking
it's like looking at me. Why are you swimming in my pool? Kind of.
And so it's not all easy, but it's not all caricatures, is it? There's normal people out there having normal relationships and making a great life of it.
I know. And also, there are a lot of trolls saying that all foreigners that come to the Philippines are broken and fat and rejects. Like, well,
Yeah.
there are a lot of successful foreigners that actually come here. They're not rejects. They're like, well, look at Steve. He's he's a handsome Westerner that found love here in the Philippines. It's just there are quality people, Western guys that come here. There are quality Filipinas that are genuinely looking for a Westerner to have a relationship with.
I mean, again, let's not let's not write them all off or stereotype the Filipinos.
Yeah.
But a lot of the Filipinos, they're not always driven, are they? And
It's
they're
all
not
words.
always got the energy,
Yes.
and you know that they're not entrepreneurial, and you know not all of them, of course. But it's easy to write off everybody. It's easy to write off all Westerners as fat old white guys that coming out there for sex and stuff.
Yes.
And yes, there is an element of that. Of course, there is. You know, but it's not everyone, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Diana, you're a nurse in the UK. Was the visa processing difficult to get a visa?
Well, I came here in the UK because we got married in the Philippines. So I did not come here as a nurse.
Okay.
I have always, I've had to take the test to be able to practice here as a nurse, obviously. It's just I've had a short term cut.
Okay.
But you've had no assistance with that, so
Yeah, that's right.
So we've had to pay for that, and
Yes,
we've had
I have to review I have to revise on my own, I have to study on my own because I haven't got a hospital that will train
sponsor,
me.
yeah.
And then there was this one time you have to do BLS, basic life support. He's my dummy. I was pumping his chest.
I'm good at that. I'm good at being a dummy. You know, I tell people, you know, they can't believe it that in the Philippines, when you first qualify as a nurse, a lot of the nurses actually pay the hospital to get experience.
Exactly.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, it's staggering to people. And so, but a nurse here is incredibly well respected and sought after. In fact, we're just launching a nurse agency actually.
Oh, wow, that's great. What kind of visa was it if you weren't there for the working visa? Was it a spousal visa?
Spouse visa, P.
Ah, okay. How long did it take you?
You know, P, we were very, very lucky because I was working in Egypt. So it was easier for me to get a tourist visa to go to the UK,
While we were dating.
While we were dating. So I've had at least 3 visit visas to the UK before I applied for the spouse visa. So when we got married in the Philippines, which is March 28, 2014, we flew together back to the UK with my visit visa. And then because of the spouse visa, one of the requirements is the marriage certificate. And it takes 2 months to 3 months to process it to the NSO back then, but now it's PSA. So I was here in the UK while I was waiting for the marriage certificate. And when my sister-in-law said, Diana, your certificate has arrived, then I flew back to Manila and applied for the spouse visa. It took us only 2 weeks.
It's not the end of the process, is it?
The spouse visa is just the beginning.
The start of the process.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's quite it took about 2 years.
Yes, so it's a long process, but basically one of the requirements of being a British citizen is you've lived here for 5 years.
Okay, to get citizenship.
Because I'm married to him, I could apply for the citizenship as soon as I get the indefinite leave to remain, even a day after that, after getting the indefinite leave to remain, which we have done.
But it's all worth it. Look at you guys.
And I'm still here, P.
Yeah, so, well, Diana's a well-traveled Filipina. Was it like a red flag for you, Steve? Because some guys, some Western men, they think that a well-traveled, well-spoken Filipina who's very successful with her career is a red flag. Were you afraid that she'll be more career-driven than being a wife to you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I would have got very quickly bored with someone that just doted on me and wanted to stay at home. I mean, and also, I probably would have abused that fact where she's all over me, I would have been playing golf and cricket, but she's all over me, which I kind of need. And no, absolutely not. That's what appealed to me about Di was, she had so many facets to her. She was a qualified diver. She'd been all around the Philippines. She'd had the guts to go and work in Egypt and go back after the revolution. I was full of admiration for her, and I don't want somebody who's just going to dote on me in the house and cook and look. I mean, it would be nice if you did it more.
Hey, P, he's just come back from Barbados with a deep, clean house.
Wow. Aren't you a lucky husband?
So, no, I would say, obviously, if I'm honest, in the early days, and I'd heard she was engaged to this American guy, and I knew she had this German boyfriend. And obviously, I'm kind of thinking, but then I thought, come on, what have I done? I've had 3 Filipina girls, had a couple of girls. Why not? We're all. I didn't want somebody fresh out of the nest.
So Diana, you had an ex-fiance, American ex-fiance, and you said that you had a German boyfriend on the side. Was it in the same timeline?
Yes.
It was in the same timeline. Okay, so
That was a little bit of an amber flag.
okay.
I was very honest with Steve. And I
Okay.
think that's what your viewers should, pick up a lesson in from this video. Be honest. If you've got a child from when you were single, you've got to blurt it all out, on the very first date or maybe even second date, so that you don't have to hide for it.
Yeah, I'd say the only reasonable lie is probably about your age.
It's your age. You like
A little white light. Okay.
yes, Pete.
I totally agree because come what may, you're just planting little bombs. Yeah, well,
Yes.
Well,
yeah,
do you
that'll.
know what? And Pete, I'll tell you why it was so good we'd had that.
Oh my God! Oh my! Don't mention it.
This American ex-fiance hit me up on Facebook.
And all
Oh.
your friends on
Oh
Facebook.
no, it was my friends first. Or
Yes.
I can't remember. And sent a message about this long, all about why I should be wary of Di and all her shortcomings and all the things she told me really about her going over to the States and then flying home. And so there was nothing he told me that I didn't already know.
Mm-hmm.
I told me German boyfriend he'd found out about. But, he not only had multiple Filipina girlfriends, he also introduced his ex to Di on her second night in the States. She found pictures of her in the drawers in the room she was staying in. And I'm getting a warning from him about Di. I thought, well, I'm not going to put much store next to these. So, and there was nothing. Had I got that and not known anything about it,
That would be the end of the
I probably would
relationship.
have just ended the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, well, you would, wouldn't you? It would have been too much out of the blue in the early days.
Right.
But as it was, I just said, "Yeah, thanks for the message. I know all this. Have a happy life." And that was that.
But was it the reason? I mean, you and your ex-fiance, American ex-fiance, broken up because he found out about the German boyfriend, or is it a different thing?
It's a long story why I was doing that, but I'm not going to rationalize it. It's a self-inflicted infidelity.
Okay.
It's bad, I don't approve of what I've done. So basically, I've flown over to America. And then the second night, it was his youngest daughter's birthday. Of course, I had to meet the family. The ex-wife was there
Mm-hmm.
with the best friend, with
Mm-hmm.
a friend, checking the new arrival, which was me.
Okay.
Ex-wife was there, friend was there, making fun of me, as if She's a Filipina, by the way.
The ex-wife?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I slept on the other room.
Mm.
And in the spare room was a box full of pictures, letters, cards.
I bet you read all of them.
What?
That was painful, P. That's why I spent 5 days in America
And then left.
And left.
and left.
Okay. Wow. Well, I just want to know because most of my subscribers are asking the same thing. Are you, I mean, this is for Steve. Are you expected to financially support Diana's family?
No, I'm not. I'm not expected to at all. I mean, the head of the family, brother, he's an engineer. He works on Japanese boats. He also lectures at a local college. He's bought his own house. He's he's very financially self-sufficient. The younger brother, he's an IT. He's a software guy like me.
Yeah.
So he's working and looks after himself. That's not to say I haven't helped, but that's been because I've wanted to, So I've made loans to them, which have always been repaid.
Yes.
And so I've got the youngest brother, even though he doesn't like me, I paid for a house for him. So again, he was in this awful rented house, and paying a lot of money for it. And rather than get a loan in the Philippines at something like 10%, I had the cash, so I've lent him the money. He's bought the house, and he's repaying me every month, and has done for 3 years.
Every month.
So, I think that's perfectly fine and acceptable, and I want to help. Nobody has ever come to me for a handout. And in fact, nobody actually asked me for the loans either. I think I suggested it. And so there's no expectation at all, which is great because I know that's often not the case.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And you know our culture, right?
We got married.
Uh-huh.
When we got married, this brother of mine, the one who's engineer, sat down with a pile of cash asking Steve, how much do we owe you, Steve? Blimey, brother, is that a dowry? And my brother said, no refunds.
I mean, once we got engaged, two of the brothers came to me and they said, "You're getting engaged to die." I said, "Yeah. Maybe you want to think about it." She's not the easiest, She's not the easiest. I said, "Believe me, I know that already."
My mom even said, sold.
Sold.
No returns on damaged goods.
Let's be honest. In the early days, we had some pretty feisty times. In the first year in particular, I mean, why we stuck together, I don't know, because we had some massive fights, and there was a lot of jealousy bouncing about, but we stuck with it, didn't we?
Yes. 8 years, P.
Yeah, 8 years. Well, this is something that I can show to my viewers, and there are successful stories. Not all Filipinos are gold diggers. Not all foreigners are broken and rejects,
It's becoming more common, actually. It is becoming more acceptable. I mean, probably 10, 15 years ago, it probably nearly all was lower class blokes from not great parts of England who could just about afford to fly a young Filipina over and then put them up in a pretty ordinary house. But it's not like that anymore. And there's a lot more business going on between the two countries. So there are a lot of normal business guys going over and meeting people. It's not just sex tourists or rejects, like you say. There's much more just interaction, isn't there, generally, of normal sort of people. So some of us have teeth,
Yeah. So what do you love the most about living in the UK?
It's so easy, P. It's just so efficient, I have just paid in 2 checks to 2 different banks within 5 minutes. It's just, I don't queue, I don't have to wait.
You want a phone installed, it's there in 2 days. You know, a new line.
Yes.
Everything. That's the hard thing for a Westerner in the Philippines. Actually, I mean, you've really got to just let go of all that stuff and accept.
Yeah.
Things take longer and people move a bit slower, and it's hard sometimes. But,
And it's just very convenient here, P. There are loads of different kind of food. Loads of fruits, vegetables, organic, non-organic.
the weather's pretty
The-
easy, isn't it? Come on.
Yes, and
Everyone moans about the weather here, but we'd get no typhoons, we'd get no floods, we'd get no storms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it isn't too hot. In the summer, we can sit out in the garden. It's comfortable sitting in the sun. It's not 32 degrees and humid. The summer's lovely to be outside. It's green. It's just, this is why I could never live permanently.
he could go on and on and on, P.
We have cricket.
The question was for me, love.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I'll be nosy. Since you guys have been married for 8 years now, are you planning to have kids?
See, I told you she's going to ask about
That's why we're laughing. She said she's going to ask us. When we first met, in the early days, I said, I've got to be honest, Di. Once you knew my real age, especially, I said, I'm not planning on having, I don't really want more kids. I don't want to be a 63-year-old granddad picking up my kid from school. That's not for me. I've done all that and blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about it?
P, none of my brothers have got kids.
Wow.
We are an family. We don't want kids.
Well, one brother.
One brother does, but they can't have it. But it's more of like, because we've had a really difficult childhood. My mom was widowed for a very young age. We were 4 kids. So it was really hard for us. So our perfect scenario of bearing a child, it means you've got to be financially, emotionally, physically stable. And we just don't want to bear a child for the sake of it, or being a retirement plan.
But I mean,
I'm so against it.
You are all those things now, aren't you?
But Steve is 21 years older than me.
You don't have to keep talking about it.
I've made the decision to marry an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, and you've never heard it from me, and
You've never wanted a child.
I've never wanted a child because for me, a perfect parent should be, you've got to sacrifice everything. You will lose yourself. And I'm afraid I'm not ready to do that.
We said early on, look, I'm not in this for the babies. And Di said, well, that's great news because I don't want babies. So,
Yes.
So it's just great.
Well,
and, why not? We have a great life, don't we?
Yes.
Well, guys, thank you so much again. And for you guys out there, I hope Mr. and Mrs. Oldfield gave you a good insight about, a mixed couple in the UK. And as always, I'll be back in just a few days with something different for sure. So stay tuned. Thank you so much and bye.
Bye.
Come on, we're going now.
So there you have it, folks. Prove that it can work when you're completely honest with each other, even if both of you have a lot of drama in your past. Diana has her own YouTube channel, so if you'd like to keep up with their adventures, I encourage you to take a look. I certainly wish both of them the best. Till next time, folks. Are you ready? Because it's time for a word from your captain. If you've abandoned ship in the West and you're looking for a Filipina first mate, just listen to your Captain P and you'll be shouting, "There she blows," in no time at all. There's nothing like the Philippines to put a little fire in the hole. And if you join me, crew, I'll get you there, right as rain. So subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you hear about any course corrections. And check out my Patreon page for exclusive vids and features. And for all you new seamen, stay off me poop deck. Don't be asking me to blow the man down. And keep your hands off me booty.